Welcome to the Woodpreneur podcast, the #1 podcast for the business and marketing side of the lumber, woodworking, hardwood flooring, and sawmill industry. I'm your host, Steve from Acres of Timber. Each week, we feature various wood business owners and entrepreneurs from around the globe. We share their stories, paths, insights so that you can network, learn, and grow your own wood business. Thank you so much for listening. Now enjoy the episode. Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Steve Larziliere. Today's guest is Yossi and Jesse from Yossi Woodworx. How you doing, guys?
Hi. Good. Thanks for having us today. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Hey, why don't you tell me about Yossi Woodworx? What do you guys do?
Basically, we try to do anything that is not simple. Anything that is, we run a very big operation. We have about 35 to 40 workers, but we try not to be a mass production company. We try to focus only on high-end specialty work. So from kitchens to closets to libraries, tables, many different, types of millwork. We do, master bedrooms, we involved, and, upholstery, metal, glass, laminates, wood, veneers, all different types of materials that we work with.
And, taking on these kind of unique custom projects as our specialty means we have a really close relationship with the designers we work with. We act as kind of at times an assist on the design in terms of engineering side, and then we develop a really close relationship with our clients through that process.
That's awesome. How did the business come to be? You want to tell us the origin story?
So my background, I grew up Hasidic here in New York, like Hasidic Orthodox Jew. So growing up, there's not like, they don't play sports, or they don't there's not much as a child. If you have a lot of, energy, where to give your energy out. So one thing that they do have, like where a lot of kids, they get very creative as a kid. I have kids that could be 10 years old and do electric and do plumbing and do, so from when I was like 9, 8 or 8, I started off like I was doing, millwork, fixing bikes, fixing like appliances. But my passion was always to build nice furniture. And then after, I was doing little furniture pieces here and there for people. When I was 15, I would say, I left school and I worked at a furniture guy till I was 17. When I was 17, I started it on my own. And I started this company. I was getting more and more busy. I was doing a lot of closets back then.
You started Yossi Woodworx when you were 17?
Yes.
That's why you smiled, right? Because it was. So you dropped out of school at 15. You worked you were apprenticed for somebody until you were 17, and then you started Yossi Woodworx.
I actually dropped out when I was 14. I was first working for a while at my uncle doing welding. He has a metal shop. And then at 15, I was like fully out of school and like working. That's when I was like working for this. He was like a small man shop. He did a lot of very unique stuff. I learned a lot there. I did not learn how to run a professional business there. I more learned about the trade. So yeah, when I was 17, that's when I opened this. There was a business that went out of, there was a different millwork company that went out of business. So I had like for $10,000, they sold me, sliding table saw, hinge machine. They sold me a lot of different machines. And this is where I started. I had someone that like sub-rented me a space in his warehouse.
This was all in Westchester?
This was first in Spring Valley.
Okay.
Which is Rockville, New York. Yep.
Okay.
So I sub-rented a space from him. And then I was getting more and more busy and bigger. So I was taking over more and more space from him. But then he moved out. I had the whole warehouse. And then I took over another part of the warehouse. So I was growing, challenges, obviously, that every day new, messing up was one thing. This is very passionate. So when every time I had mess ups, I sitting down, figuring what went wrong, like doing research, because that year and a half that I worked at a furniture shop was I learned the basic trade. I did not learn. There was so many different aspects of doing things professionally that guy never even did. That I had to
Yeah.
learn on my own. How to properly lay up veneer. I used to do when I started. I used to do Formica glue, and that was always giving me problems, bubbling, and like so. A lot of these things was like part of the process, learning, losing money, and till I
But you're young. You don't care. You're making me like.
no,
I
actually, the
just.
first, I'll tell you this: the first 4 years that I was doing business, I was already doing like 1.5, 2 million a year in gross.
Incredible.
And but
What I wanted to say was I had the same conversation when you're young and you start a business. What you don't know, the barrier of not failing, it doesn't even think about it. You just go
right,
for it and you just
right.
Go
do it.
for it. Yeah.
And my expenses are relatively low. I don't have a family. I don't have kids. I was still like paying just rent, so it was just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I didn't have all that other things to think about. So I was working around the clock just on that. And yeah, so it's been listen. The first 4 years I was in business, I was doing already 1.2 to 2 million, but it was always $200,000 minus. I
yeah,
was
yeah,
turning around money, not really making money.
yeah.
I had after 4 years, what happened? I broke my leg, my ankle, and then in that year that I thought I'm not gonna be able to like work and do anything, I was forced to sit in a chair. I'm a very active person, so I was forced to sit in a chair, and like I had so much time to think. And that year, I was able to rethink everything I'm doing.
Yeah.
And by the end of the year that I was not walking, I had paid off all my debt
Wow.
and I had 200,000 in the bank account.
Wow.
A big turnaround.
Wow. And so, how many years has it been?
It's 10 years now. I'm 27.
That's incredible. And
Yeah.
Jesse, when did you come into the picture?
I came into the picture now just over 3 years ago.
Okay.
I met Yossi when it was 7 guys. I was the eighth member of the team, and when they were when we were still in Spring Valley. I'm about 18 years in custom fabrication. I did millwork to pay for school, but then stayed in custom fabrication since then. And the way Yossi speaks about this, there's nuances to it. Is that he's that young guy, and when you meet someone at that age, they have that kind of driven
Yeah.
and passion for it, but there was also a patience. When I met Yossi, it was time to kind of get everything structured and get everything organized so that we could see what we had and what was required to take that next step. But I was
Yeah.
immediately impressed with the kind of calm patience he had in approaching situations that you don't get from people at that age in the industry. He had
Yeah.
a willingness to want to see those changes and those improvements, and then always an ability to approach a situation with a certain level of calm and openness that created a really strong environment to foster that growth.
Incredible. You know, Yossi, when I have a question, and the question is, what came first, the product and who to sell to, or did you just automatically go into like the equipment stacking?
Um, listen, I started off, I was doing many different things. I was doing construction, closets, and as I was getting more and more busy with furniture, I was dropping other things. I would say to clients, I don't do that anymore. So, since I started, I never had a slow moment. And I never really spent a penny on advertising. Just like a year ago, I made business cards, but
Okay.
that I don't even give out because it's all been word of mouth. Instagram has been very helpful.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised I've gotten some high end clients from there, but mainly a lot what I do on Instagram is target designers and contractors. I like follow them, make sure and stay in touch with them, but I worked. For me, it was first getting a product and me going through hell, fixing, redoing things, and then, like I said, 4 years later, it was learning to understand to actually make it as a business, not just as a passion. To how to
Yeah.
make, because that's the problem with most mill workers. We know how to do mill work, but we're not necessarily business people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So learning first, I had to learn the trade, and then I had to learn how to actually make it into a business, which was a whole new, different aspect to me.
And
Yeah.
it seems like with a small business in this industry, that's always kind of the balance. You know, a lot of small millwork companies, a lot of small fabrication companies start out of passion and start out of work that's brought to you, and then you follow it up with trying to understand how to balance that as a successful career and a successful business.
Yeah.
And the when Jesse came in the picture, I mean, but prior to that, everything was running off my phone. So I was constantly running around the clock. And then he came into the picture for the past, since he came, we've been working on systems. We work off Asana, but, Asana is technically is a naked program, but I'm very proud about what we have in our Asana. And I feel like the way we set up Asana, we could sell it to other mill workers
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and make a lot of money off it, because I went from having 15 jobs at a time to having 40, 50 jobs at a time always, and I'm less stressed when I used to be when I had 15 jobs.
And work
Yeah.
less.
I work less stressed, and it's because the more and more we worked on system, the less and less problems, the less and less go backs we have. The more the end goal is like this: to get the job site, everything to be there, everything to be perfect, walk out with a check.
Yeah. 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 Um, how did you know that you needed a Jesse in your life?
It was, I was struggling a lot of different things. I did not know what my next stage is to be. I was like, I need someone to help me put this together. I need a manager. So I had this guy, consultant that I sat down and I told him all my issues. Also, he came. He's like, all right, this is what you need. You need an operation manager. So they contact a hiring agency. Together, them with the hiring agency, they reviewed. I didn't look at any resumes. They reviewed like everything. They came back to me a while later. They said they have 3 candidates. They have one candidate they really like, and then they said to me a few days later, they're not even going to show me the other candidates. They first just want to show me this candidate. So they brought me him. And to be back then when we did the interview, it was like no, like the middle of like renovating the office. So he like sat down. You tell him that part.
Let me tell you about that. So, like I said, I've been in managing companies and doing custom fabrication for quite a while. And when I saw this listing, it was a time when I was ready for a transition. I said, let me get to a place, let me not take on the whole ball of wax. Let me get to an operation that's got, it's pretty set up already. And I went there, and there was this warehouse, and the couple guys rumbling around the floor, one table saw, one edge bander. Maybe Yossi and I had more tools in our own garages combined than what the shop had.
Yeah.
And then an area had plastic drop cloth from the ceiling, and there was one guy as a draftsperson sitting in that room.
Yeah.
And I sat in, and he's asking me what I do. So I'm like, okay, he hasn't looked at my resume, but the people that brought me in really seemed to kind of know my history. We had phone calls, and initially I was skeptical. I said, I don't know, is what, how are we going to build this? What kind of place is this going to be like? And it really was this bare bones moment of, is this a moment to take something from its infancy and like, we got to order chairs, and grow this into something. And it was all based on what kind of vibe I got from Yossi, because what is his personality like? How open is he to relinquish responsibility? What is his willingness to go beyond what he's done now to grow this? And, I see more of Yossi. I talk more to Yossi than I talk to my wife at times. We have to be linked. We have to be in the same emotional moment. We both can't lose our head during the stressful aspects that come with custom fabrication. And we clicked.
That's
I
awesome.
was very impressed. Like I'm telling you, like back then he was telling me, or how many holidays you give, and a lot of these questions I had no idea. Like I didn't even
You're
know
like, holiday, what's a holiday?
or
Yeah.
like
Yeah. What's
what's
PTO?
what's PTO? I'm like what? Like I don't know. I work with mainly most I work as Spanish people, so they work around the clock. They don't care.
Hmm.
So, but like I was very impressed, and again, this has been. I had a goal. I didn't want to run like a garage shop. I wanted to be professional, and I
Yeah.
wanted to have a system. And I knew, I from when I was like already 2 years, 3 years into like business on my own. I had somebody that came to me like, "Oh, I'm ready to hire you. Manage this huge factory. I want to pay you like 120,000 starting." Manages you. I was like, no, I'm not interested. I didn't feel like I'm ready for it, and I didn't feel. Also, I had a person back then came to me like, oh, I'm ready. I'm gonna give you $2 million. We're gonna buy all types of machinery. We're gonna build this huge factory. I'm like, listen, anybody can buy machinery, but you gotta have the knowledge. You gotta have the experience. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not ready for it. It's been, and then I chose the route to where I'm feeling, because also I this company, let's say they came to me for 120 to hire me for 125. They ended up buying. They had their investor. They bought like $3 million of equipment. They had every crazy machine, and they got the jobs. They got big hotel jobs, Times Square. But that no idea they didn't have a system, they didn't have nothing. A year later, this business was in the ground selling their equipment for pennies. I watched too many big companies in the millwork industry build themselves and then go out of business pretty quick. And even people that were in business for years,
Yeah.
they turn 60, 70. There's not much ahead of them. Like they're the brain of the business.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my goal was like I need to set up a business that can run without me. 90%, 95% can run without me. And this has been our goal the past 3 years with Asana. Is I'm not even like my quality is automatically every day getting better and better without even putting focus on it. My
Yeah.
focus has been on system. I figure the more I have a system and I
Yeah.
have a good process, the more and more it can run without me, the more and more quality is going to get better on its own, and the less headache free I live. You know,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
this is where I can have a business, build a business. I'm turning 60, 70. I can sell it. It doesn't depend on me. It's generating profit on its own.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. And I love how you use Asana. We used Asana at one point, but I mean, that's incredible that I mean, the work that mill workers do is incredibly complex and has so many different stages. And then the other thing too is like you guys have a lot of different stakeholders. So it's not just you as the GC, as the designers, the architect, all these the vision came from someplace and you're the last piece to make sure that the vision comes to life before it goes into its intended place. So like I totally get it. Hey, so talk to me, what has been like your most profitable type of projects? Like what do you love to do? You could do with the back of your eyes closed, or what do you have fun, or what are you most known for?
Um, Again, I love projects that are a challenge.
Yeah.
Doesn't always mean that it's gonna make me money, but we have a lot of commercial projects that have been doing on site that we sub out to third party companies. We still do the shop drawings. We
Yeah.
currently have three drafters that do shop drawings, and so we give it out. We still like supervise it, and we make clean profit without having to do much. But then there is you know generally commercial. I don't know if it's as profitable, but it's definitely easier most of the time.
Yeah.
It's quick turnaround time. They want it tomorrow. They don't care so much about every little detail. There's not somebody like looking over it, and so it's a quick turnaround, easy, quick money.
And those have been an important supplement. It's you have your residential projects that they haven't even broken ground yet. You're going to work through 40 revisions on drawings. We're talking a year and a half plus for this project to wrap up. but then you're able to squeeze in a commercial job. It's 90% laminates or melamine, and they need it yesterday. So you're able to kind of burn through that. It doesn't take all that decision-making power because a lot of it's, you're aided in a lot of that process, and it leaves
Yeah.
the brain space to take on those more special jobs. We when we paused and looked at each other for a second, because the day of the mill worker with his peaceful, quiet moment and his coffee, we're not in that stage. Everything is custom and it takes a lot of care, but it's got to happen now. And
Yeah. Yeah.
and that balance is challenging. And I think when we look and we see, 40, 50 jobs going on at the same time, but you see one of those large scope residential projects wrap up. Yossi just got back from LA where he was visiting a job that we wrapped up the beginning of 2023. And you
Yeah.
can't appreciate it in the moment. You're worried about the edging here or the moment here or trimming the filler here. You come back 6 months later and you see the stunning presentation of a populated home that's
Yeah.
starting to be lived in, seeing these things in the real world. Those are those special projects.
Sure.
But as profit wise, ideally, I try to focus on having less clients and each project bigger
Yeah.
than having a bunch of small. So we've been assigning a lot of big high-end residential where we can come at the house and we're easily 1.5 just in a single house in millwork. And
Wow.
not even do all the millwork. Like a lot of times, a lot of these designers that we work with, they separate it. So let's say we'll get like A, like the higher end. They'll put a different guy for B for a lot of the small kids' vanities, and then they'll get in a closet guy for C for do all the basic stuff.
Yeah. So these are really big projects, but then these designers and architects tend to count on you for like the stunning presentations.
Yes. We're here to
Yeah.
interpret their vision, and that can be anything from understanding the realities of how materials work in the real world to
Mm-hmm.
value engineering things to fit within people's budget, but maintaining the kind of overall aesthetic,
Yeah.
and really trying to be the next leg interpreter for these designers.
So I know you guys are 7 figures. Are you at 8 figures?
What, yearly? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I could tell just because you said you had 35 employees, but tell me at that stage, what are you thinking about in terms of growth? Like what does growth or even um like, because in the beginning it's usually about like acquiring the customers, and then when you get scale, it's about getting the right talent to be on board, which is where the phase that you just went through. Like what does multi 8 figures look like in terms of like what are you thinking in terms of growth or systems or operations in order to fine tune?
Um, for first, I mean, our growth right now, we're still a lot of, even though we're a big factory with high end custom, a lot of our stuff we're relied on, having traditional experienced mill workers. So right now, a big focus is on switching to being CNC operated. That will be a huge growth difference.
Say that
And
again. I'm
because
sorry. You said you broke up a little bit. Say that again.
our focus is to be like right now to get to be 80% of our stuff produced on the CNC, not
Okay.
the
Gotcha.
traditional way on the table saw.
Okay.
And together with that is focusing more on getting kitchen projects,
Got you. Yeah.
because a lot of our millwork has been study rooms, like stores, but kitchens, if you're CNC operated, is very very good money.
Yeah.
Because you don't like even the doors, like most of our stuff is more to the modern side that we do.
Yeah.
So most of if you can do kitchens, the material's not a lot. If you make it everything on the CNC and then you can have a simple guy,
Yeah.
not even assemble it, that's been a big part of our growth. Because to me, I never had a problem getting work. There's so much work that
Yeah.
out there, and I don't pursue nobody. There's very little discounts that we give out. And so the minute I am more CNC operated, I will have to pursue a little bit, and I will have to give discounts, but that will be because I will be able to handle a lot more.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, yeah,
and I can even expand on that just a little bit. Is people think about the prevalence of CNC work in today's world, right? It's every shop has some form of a CNC, but
yeah,
it's about how do you maximize the use of that? How do you use the knowledge and the talent of your most experienced mill workers to program your projects so that those little aspects, not just cut the panel, we're talking all the hardware is mapped out, everything is listed, everything's accounted for, all of our takeoffs are more accurate,
yeah,
and that gives you ability on the back end of things on to really understand a better understanding of how long a project's going to take, how much overhead it's going to
yeah,
be, so you can dial in your margins. And that's about confidence at that point, right? There's
yeah,
this idea that you reach stages and that's your growing pains, when even at a business of this scale, it's a continuous growing pain of how do you optimize your process, how do you adjust your system, how do you adjust your approach to make what you're doing now more efficient. And and at that point, that gives you then that confidence boost to say, now we're prepared to step it up a notch, and then Yossi can go out.
we are just releasing our latest training. And over this training, I go over how I helped generate $200,000 and 300 leads for clients. And during this 45-minute training, we will go over the frameworks, the strategies, and the concepts that you need to scale from 6 figures to 7 figures, or even just get started. These are the building blocks that I've seen help wood, lumber, furniture, millwork companies grow and scale. So I've been hearing it lots of times, like, I just need a training, I need a training, I need a training. So we finally put it together. So wherever you're consuming this, just click the link in the description and you'll be able to access it. Yeah, you said, and now Yossi can go out and do what?
He can sell, and
Yeah.
he undersells himself a little bit
And
in that
sell with
stage.
confidence too, right? Like sell with confidence, knowing that when he brings in something, the fulfillment side is completely dialed.
Yeah, and he's extremely charismatic. Clients and designers and people want to work with him. They
Yeah,
want they want that person, they want that personality, they want that relaxed approach, they want the confidence he inspires in them that they're going to get that beautiful product.
yeah,
And it's there's going to be a point where what we do as Yossi's Woodworx, as the grand millwork company, reaches a point where it's at a comfort level, it's at a profit margin level, where you don't grow just the big huge balloon. You split off and you put focus on something like, let's say, a kitchen division, and something that you can put a lot of intentional structure into for how you structure your manufacturing, how you structure your approach with clients and selling, and start to expand little branches.
yeah, yeah. And so from what I'm hearing, it's like you've reached operational, you've reached sort of client scale, and now the thing holding you back is being more efficient. And the best way for you to be more efficient is to invest in systems and equipment that can help you dial in the projects even more. And then you see this big space of being able to like go after kitchens because you've already built the talent and the processes, that this is a whole new blue ocean for you to even go after, right? Like, so if you can do all these complicated things efficiently, then you can go and turn around and build these boxes more efficiently too. Does that kind of sum up?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that ties into, again, and not just to keep propping them up, but for someone at Yossi's age in this business to have that foresight of patience of
Yeah, yeah,
saying,
yeah.
we're not gonna it's an everyday conversation about these things. It's nighttime conversations, everything about improving, but that to say, let's not grow faster than, let's make sure we can grow into the clothes we buy. Let's let's know when we're ready to expand and do it at that point. Let's not jump the gun.
Sounds fun.
I mean, where I can say in the last few months we've reached a very comfortable state where we're feeling like our fabrication's been moving excellent, and obviously, we're looking to we were looking to get more on the CNC, but fabrication is moving excellent. We're ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
We had our biggest challenge over the last year was our finishing department, where our fabrication was moving so well, and the finishing department was always so behind. Um, and then literally things were being sprayed, and then the next morning they were out the door.
Yeah.
And we had a big shake up with finishing, where I can say I'm super, super happy how our finishing department finally we're getting to the stage where we're finishing projects. They're sitting on the shelf for 2 weeks, and then they're going for install.
Yeah. Yeah.
So things that
You
means
don't want
like
to deliver wet things. You don't.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Give,
You're
give
hoping
you time.
that it's cool enough in the truck, to
Exactly.
No, it's giving you time to do things right. The more you
Yeah,
do things last minute, the more mistakes you're gonna have. The more like you're gonna have to come back.
absolutely.
If you
Yeah.
have the proper time, you can show
Uh,
up, do it correct the
yeah.
first time.
You don't want any hairs, any fingerprints. You know.
100%. So
Yeah.
that was a big change we did it, and finishing is moving really well. And it comes to a certain point where I was like, oh wow, we're about to run out of work to give to the finisher, and I'm like, that's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have. Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Um, that's great. What does, I mean, you just said a little bit about what's happening. Um, but yeah, I mean, on your website, the photos are incredible of your work. Um, and a lot of your stuff, I mean, what percentage between residential and commercial are you?
We have a you. The thing is, we have a very big commercial side of ourselves, but I would say I would like that. I don't even post much.
Right.
Yeah.
I have certain companies that bring me yearly, like 1.5, 2 million in just commercial projects.
Yeah.
I have like 2 or 3 companies like that, and most of them are not even made in house, or some of them are do, and then um, we just manage it, we get it done, we make sure we feel proud to put our name on it, and but I would say overall, I would say at least 65 is residential and 45, and like 35 is commercial.
Yeah.
And the residential is mainly through interior designers.
Yeah.
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 We that's been another big shift. You know, uh, the world of interior design has changed a lot over the years. The world of architectural drafting has changed a lot over the years. So the kind of collaboration of what you receive from a designer and how it ends up or what you need to produce in house. So us even learning how to separate, what aspects of Yossi's Woodworks design work do we do and how do we manage that and how do you balance that with receiving designs from clients? That's been a big evolution as well.
Because one of the things I learned years ago is as long as I am emotionally involved, I cannot make money. And if I get involved in the design process,
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
means I'm
yeah.
emotionally involved.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I get it. I get it. Oftentimes it's like the thing that like in businesses, and this is kind of like for the whole woodpreneur community, it's like the thing that brought you to where you are now is not going to be the thing that brings you to where you want to be. And if you're involved in every step of the way, like it doesn't really even allow your team to thrive and feel good because then they're going to be second guessing themselves. And you want to be able to bring on a place where your employees are the best at what they can do, and so much so that they're teaching you stuff, right? Like they're making you better yourself. So yeah, you don't have
I
to.
mean, I have some of my workers have been doing millwork as long as I've been alive.
Yeah, yeah,
So
And no, but you're right. It's empowering your team, and it takes risk. It's very hard to relinquish responsibility, which Yossi's very good at, and it's hard when you function at a really high level of project knowledge and client knowledge to sometimes
yeah,
impart that to people that have more of a focused or narrow view. It's that's that part of when I said a continuous growing pain is that you're always evolving your approach. I mean, as you gain years in age, and gain years in experience, you constantly have a new perspective on how to properly manage the process.
Yeah. Um, I remember when you said Jesse was number 8 and now there's 35. um, do you remember that moment when you realized that, like, oh, um, this, oh yeah. So I remember Jesse, you said that you were employee number 8 and now you're 35. Uh, do you remember that moment when you realize like, oh my God, this is so legit. This is real. This is so real. Do you remember that moment?
It was basically the big change happened. Happens to be a guy that I went to a job interview before I started my own. He had a
Yeah.
big factory, and I ended up taking the job. He didn't give me a good offer, so when I got like one of my big challenges when I started was doing finishing. Like I knew how to build furniture nice. I did not know how to do finishing. So I was building furniture and I was giving out this guy to do finishing. And over the years, he basically I started giving him jobs. I kept that job like open. We basically stacked them with work, stacked them with finishing. And so what happened was I ended up buying him out, taking my factory, his factory, moving it into West Nyack, where it is right now. And that where it was a big transition from having 8 guys to adding, he came with like, I don't know, it was 10 guys, 10, 11 guys
Wow.
total.
Wow.
So we came from like that point we're like 20 over 20 people. And from there on, it was just
Wow.
big. Yeah.
Yeah. And, when you speak about those moments like, oh, we've arrived, we try to save those for Friday before Shabbos, like quick chats. I like to have the end of week empowerment chat because you got through all this, you fixed this problem, you satisfied this, you knocked this out, and you say, look how far we come. Like, look what we accomplished this week, and like, look what we've done. You marvel at it for a moment, you rest, you put your head down, you do it again.
Cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. So this is the part where I give you any marketing or business advice. Is there anything that you need to think through or any challenges that I can help you out with?
Um, Marketing or business advice. Marketing is, like I said earlier, we've been getting a lot through Instagram.
Yeah.
I kind of stepped away. I post on stories. I don't post that much. We're hoping it's something that we can focus on something soon. I don't know if like in our industry, you know, actually advertising right now, the stage I am, or doing other things like that is still like is very relevant. Um, I want to, more focus back on posting more, staying in touch with people, and then a longer goal, maybe in a half a year from now, a year from now, we want to focus on actually creating the super high end image. We have the name out there, but also, focus on like the marketing aspects, not just to be a company, to be like, your Gucci, your luxury brand. It's something that, people can brag about, not something
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we want to kind of elevate, a bit of the rock star status for sure of Yossi. We want to kind of build that side of the brand. And this is we'll come back to you when we're ready and we'll have another chat and talk about when we start to introduce a product and how we best get, let's say when we're ready for that big kitchen side or something like that, we get a product out there. But right now, yeah, how do we continually to refine the brand and refine the image so that that becomes the rock star element? I got a
Yeah.
kitchen from Yossi's Woodworx. I worked
Yes,
with Yossi
sir.
Pearl.
It's interesting. So I'm looking at your logo and it's sick. The YW, it's really really cool, and it looks luxury, right? And I know that was probably the intention. So there's a couple things. Is that one is to so the question is, how do we elevate and position the brand when you don't actually need the marketing for sales, but how do you elevate the brand to put you in a better position for when you do add on new product lines? Is that
I,
does
I,
that
I-
the question?
yeah, yeah, and I'll give you actually example. I mean, not example. We have a project now. We just started. It's a library room, right? We came in at 300,000. They had a different mill worker that priced it at 150, and and we did. There's no discount. We didn't get no discount. At the end, they wanted to move forward with me, even though they have someone at half the price.
For
So I
sure.
don't. I My name is out there, but I do feel like I want to even further elevate that and build like a high end brand.
So you know what I would do, honestly, is and I would start building bodies of content where 2 days a week you would bring in a filmer to just film you walking around doing stuff and creating content that puts you out there a lot more. Projects that you're working on, meetings, clients that you're delivering stuff at. Because what will end up happening is, so I like to say this to people, is that remember back in the day with search engine optimization, right? Like the more pages you had on your website, the more blog posts, the more articles, the more higher ranked you were in the search engines. But now the work that you do is so visual that you can't truly capture the work in an article. Even you can't truly capture the work with a photo. And social media is so three-dimensional that with you as the brand and the name behind the business, I feel like you guys need to push you more, have you facing um, interviews with you. You, I mean, I haven't said this in a while, but like for as long as you've been in business and the track record that you have, I don't know. Does it like still? I don't. Does it motivate you or does it piss you off that people still don't know you? Right? Like I don't know. I don't know what that is, but whatever it is,
Neither.
He
I'm of
doesn't think on it.
he doesn't think. But here's my point. My point is the same way you needed a lot of articles and blog posts out before. Now, because of social media, now the currency is video and attention. Like that is, and so the more you can create content and put your logo and your brand in places, like even if you can create from a branding perspective, if you can create a unique thing that for every piece that goes out that gets shipped, you hide your logo someplace and then like you tell people that it's there, or you create these little moments. I mean, that is really that's how you start to position yourself as like this thought leader, influencer in the millwork space. So you know what I mean? And look, the other thing too, I started following this guy online. I can't remember his name right now, but it's almost like you just need to lean into a persona and lean into the fact that you were this 17-year-old kid that started a seven-figure business from with a Hasidic Jewish background. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's you have to be that person. And the way you best do that now, I mean, you have the leverage, you have the money. So, like, literally find somebody to just start documenting and creating little pieces of content that go out on YouTube. And then you transcribe those and you make articles and then you chop them up and you put them as reels on your website, on your social media. That's what I would do in the short term, complete short term. Because right now, I'm looking at the amazing pictures that are on your Instagram right now. There's zero story behind them. I want to know. I mean, look, I'm not even a customer, but I want to know. So can you imagine what an interior designer, decorator, what do you think they would want to know that
right.
they want to know that as well. So anyway, so that's my thing, because once you have this body of, because you're working all the time, like all the time, you're busy right now. And it's actually it's two part. One, it's unfair to your future customers that they don't get to see how hard you're working. But two, it will create this sense of culture in your 35 people, because what you didn't say before, and I know from working with 8-figure companies, is that now it's, you got to build a culture. And what better way to build a culture to know that your employees will get shine and be like made little famous because you care about their work. You're showcasing their craftsmanship. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's what I would do. Is that helpful to hear?
That was very
It
helpful.
is.
I like your perspective. I have one more question regarding that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there money besides the building the brand? Is there money in putting focus on a YouTube channel
So
to get from YouTube or like something like
yeah,
that?
it pales in comparison to what you actually make. It pales. It's
It's
nothing.
not. There's not much potential there to.
It's lunch money for now, right? And so, but but a big but is, there's a guy she had on the podcast. He goes, his Brad from AFT Construction. He does beautiful $10 million homes in Arizona. This guy is a content machine. He does blog posts all the time. He does this. Like, he has a podcast. He's got a YouTube channel. In addition to running like a big company, I think he might have like 30 to 50 employees or whatever, right? He builds these luxury homes. What I noticed about him is that the scale of his work is on par with you, right?
Okay.
But this guy now get asked to speak at conventions. He gets sponsored by the manufacturers and the brands. So he's literally like an influencer.
Making money from the image or getting
He's
better.
making money from his image. He's getting sponsorship deals. They're giving him equipment to use in his projects. But not only that, like I got to meet him at the Builder Show in Vegas, and he flew his whole team out. And I was like, "What is your team doing right now?" He said they're running around, taking pictures with all of the equipment people and writing blog posts. That's what his team is doing.
Wow.
Because then what that happens is, anytime somebody's searching for the brand, his articles will come up, and then now he gets more traffic, he gets more business, and his stock price, like not his physical stock, but like the brand awareness of AFT Construction. I mean, you could look him up, AFT Construction. He's just like elevated. And so that for me is like this the next. So do you know? So I would say this. One more thing is, you posting merely to pictures of your work on Instagram is a table saw. You creating content and blasting it out and telling stories is the most expensive CNC that you can have.
Got it.
Wow.
I hear it.
You see what I'm saying, right? Like, it's a tool. It's a tool, because the thing, and I'm saying this for everybody, is, when you're driving on the highway and you're seeing the accident injury attorneys,
Right.
or you're driving and you're seeing the bench with the real estate, those people, however way you feel about them, those people getting a lot of money from that because it's the attention.
Right.
But if you were purely making content for designers, architects, like contractors, like the people that are your customers, if you're making specifically for them in mind, I mean, look, it's not that hard to be the number one millwork company in the country. It's literally not.
Right.
Because everybody else is not doing what I'm telling you to do at all. Right. They're so busy making money that they forget about 10 years from now, what having a body of work and content documenting what that would do for their business.
Yeah.
You're busy
Yeah.
making so much money that they're forgetting about 10 years from now.
No, and I had good advice at one point that gives you patience in your decision making, but also foresight is that every day you're writing some little section of your autobiography. And if you can capitalize that or make it more present or make it more available, you're just kind of building more of a history for yourself to lean back on and propel yourself forward.
Yossi, you should write a book.
I'll ghostwrite it with him.
Yeah. So his writing is way better than mine.
But you call it 17 to 17 million, something like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Love it. Awesome.
Cool. Was that helpful, guys?
It was awesome.
Very helpful.
Awesome.
You know, a lot of times speaking to people like you, it helps you clear your mind too, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Guys, what's your website and what's your Instagram so folks can follow you?
It's Yossi's Woodworx with an X on Instagram and yossiswoodworx.com. We're middle of renovating our website, so you're not going to see much of the website, but
head over to the Instagram.
It's Yossi's Woodworx, YOSSISWOODWORX.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. This was a fun interview to have.
Thanks for having us. We got 300 missed calls and 80 emails. Time to go back into the game.
Yes.
All right. Take care.
Bye.